your main host in the session today. I see about a couple of you have already joined the session. Hi Gaurav, hi Sripat. Glad to see you here. We'll wait for another couple of minutes maybe, basically before we start the session. So I just want to know if all of you can hear me loud and clear. So I'm gonna get you a poll, guys. So if you can let me know if my audio is loud and clear to all of you, that will really help. So you can see the poll right now, I guess. Gaurav, Shripat, and I have Hamood as well in the session. We have about 3 people right now, and more are joining in. So glad to see your responses. So do let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. In case there is any issue with the audio, do let me know about that too. And I would request all of you to tell me like what stage of your GRE preparation are you at present. So since how long have you been preparing for the GRE? What all have you done till now? Like just a brief overview of your current state in terms of a GRE preparation. That will help me in understanding you guys better, and accordingly, I can actually move this session in that direction. So do let me know about your current state of GRE prep. Okay, so I see almost all of you can hear me loud and clear. That's great to know, guys. That's great to know. So I would request you to respond in the chat about with your current status of GRE preparation. And in the meantime, just a quick information to you in case you're looking for a GRE study plan related webinar. We are conducting a webinar on GRE study plan, so that you can also register for. So you can actually register for the webinar. It is happening the same time next Saturday, basically at the same time, right? Basically, so you can actually register for the GRE study plan related webinar. In that webinar, we're going to talk in depth about how to create a study plan for your GRE preparation. So Hamood says it has been almost a month that he has been preparing for the GMAT. What about Gaurav and Sripat? What about your stages, guys? I would love to know about you as well. And again, let's keep this session as interactive as possible. That's the best way to kind of make it engaging. We can only interact using this chat, so it will be really good if you guys can share your thoughts. Okay, so Shripat says, I've been preparing for a month, not being able to devote enough time on daily basis due to work. So that's a common issue for working professionals. Taking out time is a big issue. But don't worry, if you kind of have a very strong motivating factor. So generally, I say that if you have a strong why, you can find out the how. So it always makes sense to spend some time on that. So start looking at the schools that you're going to aim for after your GRE is done, and try to do more research on it. Speak to some alumni. That is going to motivate you to actually stay on track. And the second thing which will help you to stay on track, Shripat, is a proper action plan or a study plan if you have one. So do get a study plan as soon as possible. And if you can wait till the next Saturday, we have a webinar coming up where we'll discuss all about it. So without any further ado, I'm going to get started with the session today. So just a quick intro about myself. I am Piyush Beriwala, and I am one of the strategy consultants and co-founders at Viz Tech Inc. We run a couple of companies, a couple of brands by the name of GRE Viz and GMAT Viz. I'll talk a little more about us as we move forward. I have about 10 plus years of experience in this industry, helping students get admitted into the top schools abroad globally. You can think about any of the top 50 schools or universities in the world, and I've definitely sent one or more students to it. Okay, so that's a quick intro about myself. But in the session, we are going to first start with a very important thing. Is accuracy the right metric to look at? And then we'll talk about a little bit about us, what is that we do at GRE Viz. Then we'll talk about the quant test taking strategy, and then the verbal test taking strategy. And you're going to learn a lot of new things about how to take the GRE. So GRE is not a test that you should basically be taking just by brute force. You should not just get prepared and then go ahead and take the test. If you kind of strategize for the test and for the test day, you can actually get the maximum out of the score. Like in fact, with less prep, probably you can get a better score. So that's called a smart test taking strategy, which we are going to talk about for both quant as well as verbal. And then we'll open it up for the Q&A section, basically. It will be an open-ended Q&A session. Okay. So let me ask you a quick question, guys. With how, like, if you want to score a 160 on quant, how many mistakes can you make in the quant section of GRE? What do you think, guys? I want your responses in the comments or chat basically. So if you want to score a 160 on GRE Quant, how many mistakes can you make? Can anyone tell me that? How many mistakes can you make? Yes, Amud, you will be getting a lot of 330 plus test taking tips. You will be, definitely. You'll actually get to learn a lot of new things, basically. And just to give you an idea, I've not taken the GRE myself yet, but I've taken the GMAT and a few other tests. And my GRE equivalent score in the GMAT was somewhere around 334. Okay, so you can get an idea about that from it. So you are going to get a lot of great insights into how to go about the test. Okay, Hamoud says 9, I think. Okay, close, but yeah, close. I would say Hamoud. So again, see, this actually is itself is a wrong question. So it is not like if you make 9 mistakes, you can get a 160 always. It doesn't work like that in GRE. If you're making 9 mistakes, you can get a score of something as low as even like 159 points or even less than that. And you can also get a 164. That's the max score that you can get with 9 mistakes. So in GRE, it's not like number of mistakes are directly related to the score. For example, if you want to get a 165 or 160, let's say, to get a 160, you can get there by making as many as 8 mistakes or as less as 3 mistakes also. It all depends exactly where you are making those mistakes, because GRE in itself is a test which is section level adaptive. So just to make this a little more clear to you, I'll just share a few scenarios with you. So let's say someone is getting 25 questions correct out of 40. Okay. So yes, Gaurav, you're right. Depends on the section. Making a mistake in the first section is costly, I guess. You're right. And then we're going to talk at length about the entire thing. We're going to talk about different use cases and see how that impacts. Okay. So if you get 25 correct questions in quant, basically, then what could your score look like? For example, let's say if you, out of these 25 correct questions, if you get first all 20 correct in the first section, and you get 5 correct in the next section, your score will be the highest, which is 155. And yes, you are right, Hamoud. Quant is less forgiving, particularly if you score less in the first quarter. That's very poor section. That's really great. I'm so happy to hear this. I'm talking to really intelligent people over here. So this session is going to be really, really interesting. So keep asking me questions. Keep putting your thoughts in the chat. I really love these chats and thoughts from you. Okay, so that you can see 20 and 5, the split is that you can score out 155. On the other hand, if you just get 5 correct in section 1 and you get all 20 correct in section 2, you will still end up getting only a 146. See the difference? 9 points difference with exactly same number of mistakes. And 9 points is a huge number. And let's put verbal into perspective as well. So if we get verbal, like 25 correct in verbal also, 20 in the first, 5 in the last second one, then you get 159 verbal score. So pardon for the typo, this basically should read verbal score over here. So this is the verbal score that you kind of get overall. Okay, so the verbal score is 159 if you get like 20 correct in the first quarter and 5 correct in the second section. On the other hand, if you get 5 correct in the first section and 20 correct in the second section, your score is only a 152. So you see the difference is about 7 points over here. Now, if both of these end up happening on the same day with you, the 9-point difference on quant and 7-point difference on verbal can become a difference of about 16 points in total, which is a huge number for anyone, right? So that's how different the test is. Since it is an adaptive test, section 1 becomes very critical, and I'll talk a little more about that. But quickly, quick introduction about GRE Viz. What is that we do? So we started off with ZTech Inc., which is our parent company, with GMAT, and in GMAT we proved our success in a very short span of time. On GMAT Club, the average verified reviews which are provided, and out of all the partners there, our score improvement has been the highest in the industry. We have been able to achieve amazing results with GMAT, and recently we have launched GRE on the same concept, which is personalization. So basically, we believe that everyone can provide a good course, but when it comes to actual studies, it is important that you should not just have good content, you should have much more than that in your coursework. So we believe in personalization, we believe in taking the learning to the next level. So every student at GRE Viz will get a personalized study plan, personalized to the T. You will know exactly on which day what exactly you need to cover based on your strengths and weaknesses. If you are working on the coursework based on how you perform in a certain section, you will get additional improvement modules to improve your scores before you move further, and you will get dedicated mentors to work with. And in GRE Viz, we have recently launched with the entire quant module, which has 100 plus video lessons, 500 plus questions in the course, 500 plus questions in the quizzing platform. So that makes it 1,000 plus questions, personalized course and analytics, dedicated mentorship, and weekly free sessions. All these are already launched by us. And in Verbal, we are giving it completely free of charge right now. The entire RC course of Verbal is live right now. And in Vocab, we have made the course partially live. The learning modules are already being uploaded, and the questions are going to be actually uploaded by the end of this June month, and we will have the final version of CR as well. So this is in the pipeline, but you are paying right now just for the GRE Quant, and you're getting Vocab and the RC section free of charge. And in the Vocab part as well, there's a very different way in which we have actually created text for Vocab. It's AI driven. A lot of different features are there, and we are right now launching it at a very affordable price point of $35 per month if you just want 1 month validity plan. And if you go for a 6 months validity plan, it's just launched for $95. This is basically the price that we're charging for Quant, and we are giving Verbal complimentary till June end or July mid. So if you want to enroll to this, you can always check out our website. I'll give you the link later on. But now moving on to the main part. Okay, how does the GRE function, like, or how does the test function? So just to I can see that Gaurav, Hamood, you guys are pretty clear about the structure of the test, but I'm not sure if others are. So I'm just going to quickly cover how the test structure is. So there are 2 sections in Verbal. Total 20 questions are there in each of these sections. So total question count is 40. You have 30 minutes for each section, so you end up getting about 60 minutes for the entire basically Verbal section. In Quant, on that, you have 2 sections there also, 20 questions, but you get 70 minutes, basically 35 minutes for each of the sections. You have 2 AWA sections, 1 section of so you have 2 essays in 60 minutes that you have to complete, and there's 1 experimental section that can come, that could be a Quant or Verbal section, and there is no way to know which one of these is the experimental question, basically. Okay, so that's about the section in entire GRE. So there are multiple sections. The test is a long test, but overall this is the section level analysis. Now let's understand how Quant sections adapt. So there are 3 levels of Quant sections that are there: easy section, medium section, and hard section. So what I mean by section levels is that depending on, like, this is something which is decided based on the average difficulty of the entire section that is there. And I'll talk about this in depth, like what do I mean by average difficulty also. So these are 3 levels of sections. So in each section, if you get a medium section, for example, all the questions are weighted equally. So it's not like some questions are given different weightage than the others. So all questions are weighted equally. So it doesn't matter which question you're getting right. In a particular section, accuracy is all that matters. Okay. And when you start, the first scored section that you're going to get in Quant is going to be medium for every student. Everyone starts with a medium question always. Okay, so that's the medium section always. That's the broad idea. Now, once you start with a medium section, the adaptiveness actually of the difficulty level of the second scored section. Again, I'm using the word scored section because it's possible that you might get 3 Quant sections, out of which only 2 are scored. Okay, so the difficulty level of the second scored question section will actually depend on the accuracy in the first section. So if your accuracy in the first section is 15 or more, as in out of 20 questions, if you're getting 15 questions or more, like 16, 17, 18, up to 20 correct, then the next section which is served to you is a hard section. And this is the best case scenario, basically. And if you are in this scenario, then your score range would be between 146 to 170. So what I'm trying to say is, the moment you get the second section as a hard section, even if you don't get anything correct in the second section, you are getting a minimum of Quant 146. Again, that's not an ideal scenario for anyone. But if you want to achieve a 170 on quant, which is the perfect score, you have to be in this scenario. You cannot afford to be in any other scenario. On the other hand, if you get 10 to 14 questions correct, anything between 10 and 14, both included, the second section is of medium difficulty level, which means that your score will range somewhere between 138 to 159. Now, imagine it this way, right? Imagine it this way, that if you are unlucky or for whatever reason, you end up being on the borderline of 14 itself, okay? You can see the difference in the score. Your chances that the lowest score gets affected by up to 8 points, and the highest score gets affected by up to 11 points. See this. It could make that huge a difference if you are on the borderline, right? Just one question, getting one additional question wrong in the first section can be penalized this heavily. Okay, so 15 is the magic number. You have to hit that anyhow. On the other hand, if you get less than 10 questions correct, as in 9, maximum of 9 correct, that basically means that the next section which is given to you, this next score section which is given to you, is going to be easy section. Okay, so your score will be ranging somewhere between 130 to 149. Again, all depends on how many questions you're getting right. But that's the broad score range. Now, what that means is, if I come to the test taking strategy from this, you have to get 15 plus questions correct in section 1 anyhow. Anyhow, you have to get that. And my recommendation always is, if this number is 15, you should aim for a minimum of 17 in your mind. Because obviously, when you're solving questions, sometimes you are sure, sometimes you're not sure of whether you're getting this right or wrong. But you should add a buffer of about 2 additional questions and try and aim for at least 17. Again, those who are aiming for 170, you don't have any scope over here. You have to get all 20 correct in the first section. But at least 17 is what you are aiming for. So what should be the strategy and how should you pace yourself during the test? That is very, very critical. So in the entire test, like, it is not like when there is an easy section, doesn't mean that all questions are easy. Or a medium section doesn't mean that all questions are medium. So let me tell you how the number of questions are distributed in an easy question section or a medium section and so on. Okay, so if you're in an easy section, I'm arranging in terms of increasing difficulty. So this is color coded basically. So there are 5 levels of difficulties that GRE has. A very easy question, medium question, hard question, very hard question. You can call it this way. So the maroon one is the hardest. The dark green one is the easiest question. You can think of it this way. So in an easy section, if you're getting an easy section on quant, generally there are 4 questions in the very easy level, 8 questions from the easy level, 5 questions from the medium level. None of the questions are from a very hard level, and there are 3 questions from the hard level. So that's how the difficulty is arranged. Similarly, medium section, the number shifts towards the center. So you can see this part is more left heavy, as in easy heavy. Overall 12 questions are from this bracket. Over here, most of the mass is there in the center itself. These questions are also high in number. On the hard level basically section, obviously the weight is shifted towards the right side. So that's how they call it easy, medium or hard section. But why this data point is important? It is important because what you need to understand is that since in a particular section, if it is a medium section, if I am getting 12 questions correct, okay, it doesn't matter which 12 I'm getting correct. If I'm able to get these 2 correct completely, and I'm getting everything which is hard and very hard wrong, I'm as good as anyone else who is getting these questions wrong at the expense of getting, these questions right at the expense of getting easier ones wrong. Okay. And in fact, many people make this mistake that when they're taking the test, they don't pace themselves in the right way. They don't pace themselves in the right way. And what they do is they start attempting questions in a sequential fashion, which is the worst strategy to follow in my opinion for GRE. Because if you start solving questions in a sequential fashion, and let's say when you're starting initially itself, you're getting a decent number of questions from hard and very hard level. So it's possible that you might end up getting stuck in one of these questions. You might end up getting spending a lot of time in these questions at the expense of leaving out on the easy ones, basically. That is a very, very bad position to be in. So please make sure that you understand this correctly. If you have any doubts on this, please do let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to take that up for you. So ideally, I recommend a 3-round strategy in quant. So if you are taking the quant section on the GRE, it is important that you take it in 3 rounds. Okay, and let me help you understand what this 3-round strategy basically means. Okay, So this 3-round strategy means that when you like this 3-round strategy is basically about understanding which questions to attempt and when to attempt, basically. So what I recommend is that whenever you're attempting the quant section, the first thing is you read the particular question. Okay, read the question, don't start solving it. Take your time and identify that are you 100% confident. And I say 100% confident, it is, I mean 100% confident, and don't mean 99% confident, 95% confident. Are you 100% certain that you will get this question correct? If you're 100% confident about this question, you should attempt the question right away. You should not have any delays in attempting the question. You should attempt it right away. That is the best thing to do. Generally, this will happen for questions which are, so if you're 100% confident, that means generally the question is easy or medium level, or it could also mean the question is on a similar pattern of the questions that you have attempted earlier. So that is generally what what will let's say denote a question in which you are 100% confident about the answer, marking the answer. So you should only attempt this particular type of question. So basically what I'm recommending is that you should take the entire section in 3 rounds. Okay, play them in 3 rounds. In round 1, you're only attempting questions where you're 100% confident about them. Okay, now if you're 90% confident about a question, as in you're not 100% sure, but you think you're fairly confident you might get it right, you might not get it right, there's a little bit of doubt. Even if there's a little bit of doubt in your mind, you should not attempt it right away. You should bookmark that particular question, maybe note it down in your book, notebook, or the initial number of the book question, or use the feature in the test to bookmark the question or flag the question for round 2. So once you're done with all these questions, all these right away attempted questions, then you will move to round 2, and I'll talk about this later. But if you're not sure what this question is about, if you have no clue about the question, what it is telling you or what it is asking you, then leave it for R3. Don't worry about it. No need to even bookmark it. I don't recommend that. R3 is something which you get to only if time permits. So the idea is simple. You are going to attempt only those questions that you're 100% confident of. So you start off the test, attempt all the questions that you're 100% confident of, do them right away. Once you're done with all those questions, then you will actually move to round 2. Round 2 is basically when by round 2 you would have scanned the entire section. So there is what you're making sure in round 1 is that you're attempting every easy and medium question. And always remember, easy and medium is a subjective word. Something which is easy for you could be medium for someone else. So whatever is easy and medium for you and similar pattern-based questions, you would have attempted that. So by doing this, you are ensuring that you are moving across the bare minimum requirement that is there. And then you move to round 2 and you start attempting the bookmark questions. Now, generally, if you're 90% confident or fairly confident about answering a question, these questions that you're answering in round 2 would be the hard questions from your comfort area. So obviously, there are certain areas in which you're comfortable, and there are certain areas which you're not comfortable. So these questions will be the ones which are from your comfort area. Now, after you have attempted all these questions in round 2, if time permits, if you have time left, then you will move to round 3 and you will try attempting a few questions from there. If you don't have time left, then randomly mark any of the answers, because there's no point in leaving questions unattempted. It is better to attempt them at least to at least make sure that you have selected an option, and that will help you to at least get some score on it. If you're lucky, you might get it right as well. Okay, so just make sure that you mark something and move forward. Okay, any questions right now in your mind, guys? If you have any questions right now, just say a yes in the poll. If you have no questions right now, you can say a no. If you have any questions, just say a yes. What I'm trying to understand is, can I move forward? If you think you have understood all of it, I can move forward. Just select a yes. If there's any doubt, you want to ask that doubt before I move forward, just select a no. Click yes, no, guys, in the poll. Okay. Okay, so you're saying no. So I'm assuming that there is a question that someone has. So do let me know what is the question in your mind, guys. If there's a question related to this strategy, please let me know in the chat. Please let me know in the chat what is the question in your mind, so that I can clarify it before I move forward. This is a very, very effective strategy. I have been preaching this for close to 10 years now, and it works really, really well. Okay, so I still don't see the question. So anyway, let me move forward. And what I'm going to do is once I get the question, I'll first take up that and answer it for you. Okay. So basically, this is how you should go about things. Now, some key points to remember. Don't panic if you're skipping questions back to back, because there is a possibility that you might get a few questions, many questions back to back, maybe 2, 3, 4 questions back to back, in which you're not 100% confident. You might be 90% confident, 95% confident. And trust me, once you skip 2, 3 questions, like skipping the fourth one is something which is difficult sometimes, right? You feel that, okay, I'm skipping almost everything. But please understand that the skipping is for round 2 and round 3 to play its role. It's very important that you only attempt 100% short answer questions in the first round. Don't waste your time in round 1 on questions which you're not 100% certain of, because you'll end up actually losing out. And be patient that if you're actually like prepared for the test properly, you will be able to get the questions right. Even if you're skipping 5 questions, 6 questions back to back, it's okay. Why am I saying so? Because remember, in every section, there are a good number of easy and medium questions. Even if you are in the hardest section, there will be some easy and medium questions over there as well, right? So you will get easy and medium questions. So the first round objective is to get those correct first. All right. Now, to score a perfect 170 in quant, you can make a maximum of 1 mistake, that too in section 2. You cannot make 2 mistakes there. You can reach up to 165 with 4 mistakes. So if you make 4 mistakes, you can reach up to 165 is what I'm telling you. So if you're targeting a 165 in quant, like you can get there with 4 mistakes, or maximum of 4 mistakes. Think of it this way. Quant and question type strategy is also something which can be adapted. So in quant, there are multiple type of questions, comparison questions, problem solving questions, and fill in the blanks questions and all of that. So some people are more comfortable with some specific type of questions. So if some people might do a mix of round 1, round 2 strategy with that question preference strategy. So if you think that you are more comfortable with a certain type of question, you can focus more on that type of question also. Okay, so that is something which is important. All right, now let's move to the verbal section. So how do verbal section adapt? Again, easy, medium, hard, 3 levels are there. Everyone starts with the medium level. Adaptiveness in verbal works in a similar way as in quant, but the only difference is that in quant, if you get 15 or more questions correct in the first section, the second section is hard. But in verbal, on the other hand, if you get 13 or more correct, the second section is hard, basically. So you can get to a hard second section with 13 correct answers also. Okay, and that means your score can be anywhere between 150 to 170 if you get to this second hard section. So basically, if someone is very good in quant, they can get a 170 comfortably in quant. Then all they need to do is they need to get 13 or more questions correct in verbal in the first section, and they are assured of a 150 in verbal in that way. So that way you are going to get a 320 minimum, like in that case. So that's how we can look at it. If you get 8 to 12 correct in verbal in the first section, then in the second section you're going to get medium difficulty questions. That means your score will range somewhere between 140 to 162. If you get less than 8 questions correct in the first section, you will get an easy second section, which means your score will be limited to 130 to 153. Okay. Now, the verbal pressing strategy, first and foremost, is that you need to get 13 questions correct anyhow in section when you cannot afford to make more than 7 mistakes in the first section. It will actually reduce your score significantly, impact your score significantly. Okay. Now, what are 3 levels of verbal section? So generally, there are 3 levels of easy, medium, and hard, as I said. I already talked about the increasing difficulty. So in general, in easy questions, just like quant over here also, it's like more of easy and very easy questions are there in the easy section if you get that in the second section, which is not desirable, but that's the situation. In medium section, when it's call it medium section, the center is more heavier, basically. You have more of the bulk in the center. In a hard section, you have a lot of bulk in this level, basically. Now, what this also means is that in easy and medium sections, you're going to get a lot of, in vocab specifically, you're going to get high frequency words very easily, basically. So in the first section, which is always a medium section in verbal, you can expect a lot of high frequency words coming in. So if you prepare well for the high frequency words, which is about 300 or 400 words, which are there, which are high frequency words, you are bound to get a good number of questions from them in the first section, because that's always medium. Now, if your second section is also medium or easy, you will get a lot of high frequency words. But second section being easy or medium is not something which is desired by anyone. So in most likelihood, if you want it to be hard, then you will have to prepare for the low frequency words as well. Okay, so that's how you can look at the verbal sections. Okay, now different strategies are there, different test taking strategies are there for verbal. So in quant, I talked about a round wise strategy, right? In verbal, on the other hand, there are three different use cases that exist. So if you're someone who is strong in vocabulary, let's say you memorize words really well, you know low frequency words, high frequency words as well, you have memorized close to 1,000 words, and you are fairly certain that you can get the vocab questions right. So in my opinion, in that case, you should first start solving all vocab questions about it, and you can get up to 10 questions basically from vocabulary maximum, so in each section. So try and get all the vocab questions correct first. That's your first goal. And once you're done with all the vocab questions, then only you move to RCs basically. And when I say vocab, I'm including text completion, sentence correction, critical reasoning, all type of questions in that. So try and focus on completing these first. Similarly, if you're someone who is more logical than memory based, you think your RC is more stronger than your vocabulary is, then it makes sense that you first attempt all RCs. Okay, you first attempt at all RCs basically, and then you move to the other type of questions. Okay, now if you're equally good in both, then you can do a mix. You can do something like the round strategy which I mentioned. But round strategy in verbal is a little difficult, especially in case of RCs. So in RCs, you can't expect your to read the entire passage and then decide whether I'm 100% sure to answer this or not. So in case of an RC, you will basically look at the length of the passage. You can look at the type of questions quickly and decide whether you want to do it right now or later. So, but round strategy can also be used if you're equally good in both. Okay, so key points basically: to get a perfect 170 in verbal, you can make a maximum of 3 mistakes. In that case, it should be 1 mistake in the first section and 2 mistakes in section 2. With 8 mistakes, you can reach up to a 165. So if you want to get a 165, the maximum number of mistakes that you can make is 8, and all this 8 should happen in the second section in that case. So it's difficult to achieve this, but yeah, with less mistakes also you can get a 165, but maximum 8 mistakes is what you can afford. Question type strategy can also be followed over here. You can also, let's say there are long passages, short passages in RC, so you can prefer a certain type of passage. So you can first try to do questions which are question types which are shorter, take less time, and then devote time to the remaining. Because in GRE verbal, you get 1.5 minutes only per question. Okay, so that's about it from my side on the test taking strategy. If you have any questions that you want to ask me about the test taking strategy, please feel free to ask me in the chat now. I'm more than happy to take them up for you. And in case you want to connect with us, you can connect with us on support@greviz.com. And I've also mentioned the WhatsApp number below. You can also check out our website on www.greviz.com for more details. So do let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to ask them. I'll be more than happy to take them up for you. And I hope you found this session interactive and helpful. I tried my best to talk about the most important points, assuming that you are at a certain level of understanding on GRE, how the test works and all. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me now, please. Okay, so I don't see any questions. So I hope everyone is clear with the entire strategy. Okay, I see a question now. Sipat says, thank you. Even though I had an idea of how the exam works, I've definitely got a better picture now. Really happy to know that, Shripat. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now. If you want to ask them later, send us an email or just drop me a text on WhatsApp. I'm more than happy to take them up. A very complex data points with me. I did not want to present those data points. I tried to make it as simple as possible. But if you want to have any specific discussion, do let me know. I'm more than happy to connect with you on that. Okay. So great. So I don't see any other questions in the chat. So thank you so much for everyone for being here in the session. Do check out GRE Biz if you're looking at an advanced way of studying for GRE and having a very clear action plan for you for every single field. So it's Piyush signing off. Thank you so much.